I've been lucky enough to spend an absolute monstrous amount of hours studying, learning, and trying to wrap my head around all of the components that make up Bitcoin and all of the tangents that come with learning about it. It is an absolute incredible technology, and looking at economics, Austrian economics, game theory, math, psychology, history, and of course technology, it's no doubt that it can seem complex and overwhelming. And I understand definitely that if you don't have a really strong grasp of certain things, it can feel like, like it's a Rube Goldberg machine and it's too complex and it's a trap upon itself. With Bitcoin, that's not the case. And whilst I would love to go into detail about a lot of the elements and the fundamentals and everything else of Bitcoin, I'm not going to here. I'm just going to leave you a link below, which I'm going to highlight again as we move through this video, which outlines a whole range of detailed works by some of the best minds in the space. And we've come a long way, even in the 5 years that I've been involved, or that I've been looking at it. The volume of content, the quality of content, the depth of people's output is just incredible, and there's no shortage of high quality information for you to consume if you want to learn more. The reason I'm doing this video now is because I think this is an incredible time to be buying Bitcoin, and I want to make sure that I'm sending this out to the people that I think either A, want to see this, or B, that I have as family or friends or whatever, and I can just give them a little snippet of information, which then can hopefully lead them onto a little bit deeper rabbit hole burrowing, and in the end, hopefully they either add to their position or start a position, get some Bitcoin on a hardware wallet, and continue their learning. It's an exciting place to spend time. This is a monetary technology, and it's incredibly important as we potentially have a opportunity in some form to separate money and state. Now, a lot of the issues that you're seeing out there in the world are ironically driven from the debasement of currency and the ease in which money has been available and credit has been available over the last sort of couple of decades. It's where, for lack of a better term, it would seem that we're in the bread and circuses phase of a bigger cycle. No one's lived through a cycle like this that's alive. These reserve currency and currency debasements, they sort of happen parabolically, and these end stages, no one really knows how long they're going to go for, but it's certain. And I mean, I don't just have to sit here and convince you. It's obvious that there's some real problems out there, and with technology colliding so fast into what we've been programmed to believe is inflation, and which is meant to be good. Technology is deflationary. So as we are progressing with our technology in, we've got our Starlink satellites, it's all around us. In our manufacturing sector, we've got incredible efficiencies going there. We've got rockets taking off, landing again. It almost looks like CGI. It's just so incredible. We've got these drone shows happening all over the place, and this is just scratching the surface. There is so much abundance of technology coming through, including AI, that basically everything should be getting less expensive. Everything, because we're cutting out huge amounts of interaction with humans. Now, when you combine that with the demographics that we have currently in the entire world, we've got a retiring world effectively, and that puts a lot of pressure on the system. So this existence that we've been living on of easy money is, who knows whether it's going to stay around or how long they're going to keep interest rates going up or maintain them as at a high level. But when I show you something in a little bit, you're going to understand that they're going to have to print again. It's just inevitable because there's just too much debt in the world. And over the last block of time, to create any GDP that we have to use an exponential amount of credit. So, let's say the world's GDP, just for round numbers, is 10 trillion per annum. We are having to exponentially, to get to 10 trillion, let's say we had 100 trillion of debt in that same year. The following year, to get to 10 trillion, again, we're going to have 150 trillion of credit, of new credit. So, things are getting spiraling out of control. I'm sure you can feel it. I'm sure you can feel it and see it and read about it. It's all connected, and it's a scary time, but an opportunistic time as well. And if Bitcoin does what many of us think it might do, and has the potential in time to be like a reserve currency, then it's certainly worth putting your toe in the water and doing some research. Even if it doesn't get there and it just maintains its sort of course that it's on, and it lands on the balance sheets of companies or sovereign nations, or even countries, sort of the same thing, but it'll be going great guns. Its adoption is basically a Metcalfe's law power curve. So as users increase, the network exponentially grows. It's like all of these types of network type adoptions, all of the internet stocks, telephones, internet, those types of things. It races forward, and it's good to get on the train. And if nothing else, this Bitcoin will preserve your purchasing power over the longest period of time. It cannot decay. It won't get debased. I know that it seems volatile, but it's not. Everything's volatile against Bitcoin. So let's look at a couple of charts, have a quick bit more of a discussion, and then we can I can leave you to your own devices of clicking the link below, read up, learn up as much as you like, ask questions in the comments, and I'll do my best to come back to you. Now, this year, it's certainly going to feel like a bad year, and the media, of course, does no favors for Bitcoin. That's just the way it is. That's an easy target for media. It gets a lot of clicks, and it's an easy thing to troll against. If you read the skeptics' takes, they don't really have a clue. There's not many sound arguments against Bitcoin. Once you've done some work, you realize pretty quickly that anyone who doesn't agree with it basically hasn't done the work. And if you read about it, learn about it, interact with it, use it, buy it, hold it, move it around, you'll very, very quickly understand the benefits. These are all of the articles that have come out to say that Bitcoin is dead. So what you're experiencing now, if you're holding Bitcoin right now, what you're experiencing is no different to any other time in Bitcoin's history. It goes through these cycles time and time again, and it just keeps proving all of these skeptics wrong. So why would this time be any different? Yes, we're coming into a probable recession in 2023, but in reality, I think it's just a nice place for Bitcoin to find its bottom and sort of move forward from there. So, as I said, I think this is a great time to be stacking. I need to highlight that over and over again in this video, which I'll do. So if you want to actually go onto this website, it's probably worth doing. Read some of these bad takes. There are an absolute plethora of reading here, and you can read all of these bad takes. There is a lot, and there are some big names here that shoot it down. And the great people that reverse their opinion, they're the ones that are really worth noting, and then you can learn sort of why they did such a thing. All right, so you can see here, this is the longest chart history for Bitcoin anywhere in the space. This is the Brave New Coin Liquid Index. This has tracked it back from nearly inception. And it's always a nice chart to zoom out to, particularly on a weekly like we are here. And you can sort of see the rhythm that Bitcoin produces over these 4-year cycles. And, you know, everything that's happened in the last, let's just say since 2020, apart from really the COVID dip, but then obviously Bitcoin bounced back incredibly powerfully. Everything's, you know, sort of been in the correct alignment or timing bands of what's happened in the past. We didn't get our little blow off, but I think Sammy Bankman-Fried has got a fair bit to do with that, and just the rehypothecation that has happened this year, that has been uncovered this year. Bitcoin doesn't take any fools. You can't rehypothecate it. There's no point using leverage, in my opinion. People just get wrecked. Businesses get wrecked. Exchanges are getting wrecked. Hedge funds are getting wrecked, and that's all because they were greedy and they rehypothecated their Bitcoin, or they were into shit coins, trying to pump and dump. There's no lender of last resort. There's no Fed Reserve coming in to pick up the bad actors' pieces. There's no one to save you. It's your responsibility. You owe it to yourself and your family to do the work and be responsible for your UTXOs, and keep your words and seeds in a very, very safe place. It is an incredibly easy process. It is as easy as setting up an iPhone, getting a hardware wallet together. So there's really no excuse there. But from this weekly perspective, it doesn't look too bad, does it? Obviously, it's on a log scale. So with an exponential type asset such as this, it's best to look at it in log. And you can see that maybe we're getting close to a low now, as I've sort of hinted at the start of this video. Do I think it can go lower? Absolutely. But am I happy here? Absolutely. I think the risk of waiting, you know, is too great, and the potential gain of another little tiny dip. You've got buyers who have been in the market for years and years and years, stepping in every day at the minute, buying. The people that know are buying here. They're buying here. The people that are selling are forced to sell. They're forced to sell. You never want to be forced to sell. These are either miners who have who've taken out too much leverage and overextended themselves and their business, or the hedge funds who have been liquidated, who are getting margin called, or who have just lost funds on FTX. You know, there's people who are out of cash and they're forced to sell their assets, and one of those is Bitcoin probably. So anyone who's anyone is buying here and not selling, and I can tell you that the bottom will be very, very close. Not only based on price, but based on the timing of where we are in the market in the 4-year cycle. I need to stress this point, and I'm sure you've worked out now that I'm pretty Bitcoin centric. It's really the only thing that makes any sense. If you do the work, you'll see pretty quickly that you know, the rest is sort of hopes and dreams and vaporware. But the perception from the mainstream media, because there's people that they can talk to, CEOs, founders, you know, people paying them, the perception is that Bitcoin is just a tiny portion of the cryptocurrency market and blockchain. You hear these buzzwords all the time, but the reality actually is that Bitcoin is the 0 to 1 technology. It was open source code, and hence why people could just copy it. So you can't really make it better. Bitcoin has too much of a lead, too much of a big position in the market, too much infrastructure associated. Proof of work is actually its, you know, grounding factor, which makes this all come together. People who, you know, linking the value of Bitcoin to energy is the only way forward. And Satoshi knew that, and hence why mining was put in place. But it's a huge industry now, and there's no turning back, I don't think. So, look, Texas have just released an incredibly bullish set of legislations, particularly for mining. They are going all out on Bitcoin, Texas. So, I mean, there's a lot of positives here. Maybe you're not seeing them through the mainstream news, but there is a lot of positives. I've touched on the debasement issue that we have with the fiat currencies out there, and we've got 12 guys basically sitting around a table. The Fed, the RBA, the RBNZ, the ECB, all of them around the world that can print their own money out of thin air. They all just debase. And what that means in a nutshell, and it's going to be hard to hear, but what it means in a nutshell is that your purchasing power is constantly getting eroded. Now, the trick with inflation is that, or debasement, and then combining it with inflation, is that it is an insidious tax against everyone. People believe or think that they're getting rich because an asset, let's say a house in this case, is going up in value. But actually what's happening is that the units that you buy the house in are going down in value. So it's just costing more units to buy the same thing. And when you look at purchasing power and wages over the last 20 years, you're getting killed basically because of inflation. So those that can get really at the top of the tree get way, way further ahead in these times. And this is the Cantillon effect. And we'll go into that in another video. But basically, this is an unfair system. Whether you're in the top percent or in the bottom percent, it's an unfair system, and it's incredibly easy to see that. But with Bitcoin, you have a fixed quantity of 21 million. You have a fixed and set supply schedule of those 21 million. And as we move into 2024, which sometime in 2024, the next halving will occur, there'll only be 3.125 Bitcoin mined every 10 minutes. And that will definitely turn Bitcoin then into the scarcest asset or scarcest thing in the world. So, it'll be more scarce than gold, and gold's production can up. If gold went to $10,000 today, let me tell you, all of the mining companies would be switching to mining gold. But you can't do that with Bitcoin. Irrelevant of the price, you can never mine more. And that's why we see the hash rate going up. So people want Bitcoin, there's no doubt about that. And as soon as you start thinking about the numbers, say 21 million, and you think about the world population, this is a world thing here. There's nothing else that you can really invest in that's this big from a network perspective. Then you think about the people who are potentially millionaires in the world. Are they going to want one? There's certainly more than 21 million millionaires. So, start running some of these numbers together, and you're sort of thinking like, gee whiz, I've got a good chance at the minute to stack some sats, even 100,000 sats. Just throw some in, test the network, see how it works. Look at some of the hardware, look at some of the software, look at Lightning Network. Read up on how mining works. It'll blow your mind. And if you've got some skin in the game, even with 100,000 sats, it's nothing. It's like no cost. It will be enough to get you to dive in deeper. But remember that there is a limited amount. They're not going to be available at these prices for very long. So this is the difficulty. Just to put your mind at ease, this is the most secure network ever created. It's an incredible development. As money, this is the only uncorruptible, undebasable, most secure money that you can ever hold. It is frightening. The mining alone has just been such a success since the China ban in the middle of 2021. It's been an incredible run. The infrastructure is mind-bending. It is an enormous industry. So don't worry about the security. It is secure. We as Westerners basically just think about this as a way to make more or make gains, say, a lot of us. And I understand that perspective. You want to try to make the best life for you and your family as you can. But once you get into Bitcoin, you start to learn how empowering it is for other countries around the world and other individuals who are in a lot worse, a lot more difficult situations than many of us. And really, this is the power of Bitcoin. Some of these titles here that you can read through, I'm not going to go through them, but you can read them all. You can pause the video and read them all. There's some incredible stories here, and some of the books that I've got recommended in the BTC starter link below, they'll help you give an understanding of how incredible and life-saving this sort of technology is to people that are in hyperinflation, or that are living under dictatorship, or that are living in unfair, unjust jurisdictions that limit all sorts of things for women, for travel, for whatever it may be. It really flips all of those regimes on their head, and it will do too in Western world when the pain is enough. The pain will come for people, it will, but it's there for you. It's the lifeboat that is available. It's not much to buy this insurance at the minute. So I just wanted to put this chart up. It's just the one thing I wanted to highlight about this is just the timing of the bottoms, as in the low mark of each cycle. You can see the cycles sort of banded out here. It's obvious now that you're looking at it in a weekly. You can sort of start to see that those annual, they go for 1 year generally, these annual declines. And the bear markets can be tough. They are tough. It's a big drawdown. Don't get me wrong. We're nearly at, 70% now. That they are painful. Trust me, I know. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. And why I say now is a good time to start, start building a position, or, allocating something into this market. You can see here that usually we've got a band somewhere between November and January where we do find our low point. So we're there now, we're right in the thick of it, and whether we've had our low already, that's a good chance. Whether we're going to see a little bit lower prices, that's also a chance. I just don't know, and as I said, I just don't care, because I never thought that I'd be buying under 20,000 again anyway. So yeah, these prices are a gift, and if I had uncertainty, I would never post this video, and I'd never send it to you. So, I don't want to look back at 2030 and I didn't at least give you, whoever's watching this, the opportunity to learn a little bit about the space and, stack some sats for your future, or for your kids, or for your legacy, or whatever it is, or for your future kids. It's just such a nice thing that you can potentially give them this gift for their future. So yeah, something to keep in mind there. Another thing to put your mind at ease. This chart shows it maybe better or clearer. We have 3 years of green or positive growth, and you can see the percentage breakdowns below, and then we usually have that 12-month block of a down. So each of these years represents, you can see all of the opens, the highs, the closes, the percentage gains, the whole lot. And 2021 wasn't the year that we thought it was going to be, and that's turned out, we found out, because Sam was manipulating the paper market and people lost a fortune, sadly. And he was basically falsifying the altcoins, which was impacting Bitcoin. So yeah, it's a bit sad, but it's great, to be honest with you, that all of that has been washed out of the system. Better to have it washed out now than later. So yeah. Second to last chart now. This is from Rational Root. He's been producing a lot of really nice charts that are visual, and I think for people who are sort of new to the space, it's a really nice way to think about things. You can see here on this chart, and it's nicely color-coded based on the years. Those red dots at the bottom are the lows. They tap the lows. So, as I said, we're coming right into alignment now with a potential low area. And I wouldn't be surprised if, we are at the low or very near. So, another great piece of charting to show you that, again, it's not a bad time to potentially be stacking or certainly learning some more. My favorite chart is the CBBI, and it's this one right here. It's a very interesting chart. It pulls together a range of different, what would I call them, on-chain statistical analysis data points and plugs them all into one beautiful chart, which has got colors and overlays and everything else. And basically the number that we look at, how it all comes together, is this number here, which is right now a 3. Earlier today it was a 2. Now you can see that the lows, the 2, that's a 2. That was the last low in 2018. That was the actual low of the market. That was a confidence level of 2. Then the time before that, we actually got a 1, which was unbelievable, but that was also the low. That low was $199, believe it or not. And so you can sort of see here, these high points turn out to actually be near, basically on the high watermark, very close to. And this one even turned out to be very, very close to the top as well, ironically. But now we're at 2. We're at 2. Well, we're not at 2, we're at 3. But on the 22nd, we were at 2. So basically, we're at 2. We were at 2 when the price was 15,800, and that was a day ago or whatever it was. So, you know, it's hardest to buy now. It is, because it feels, everyone is telling you it's a crazy decision. All the media are screaming at you that this thing is a Ponzi and it's going to blow up. It's all yelling at you to not do the right thing. But the right thing right now is to buy. So I don't know what else I can show you. It is glaringly obvious based on the timing of the cycle, fundamentals, the CBBI, all of the other on-chain data, whales, shrimps, all coins, all wallet sizes. So 0.1 of a Bitcoin, 0.1 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100. Everyone's stacking sats right now. So now is a better time than ever, potentially. This could be some of the greatest generational buying opportunities ever. Maybe there's only been 2 other times when this has been available like this. And you just have to take the price out of your mind. But there may have only been 2 other times since its inception, that the price has been this attractive. That the Bitcoin has been this attractive to stack and buy right now. There's 2 things I want to leave you with, and the first is the US national debt clock. This shows you some absolutely horrific numbers and basically ensures this, just the US debt clock. The rest of the world is in the exact same boat, but this effectively ensures that they are going to continue to debase the currency. There is no other option for them, whether it happens this year, next year, in 5 years, it doesn't matter. It is inevitable, quite frankly, because when you add up the national debt of $31 trillion, and then you add in the unfunded liabilities, which is $172 trillion, there's no possible way that GDP can cover these costs. It's just impossible. The tax revenue is not going to be enough. You know, school's not getting cheaper. Kids are going into more debt. Everyone's going into more debt. Interest rates are rising. Everyone's getting hit harder and harder and harder, as is the government, because there's going to be less revenue from the taxes. You know, their interest expenses are going up. Basically, you're getting the idea here. They can't make this work. And so they will do. Incentives are almost a lock that they will try to print their way out. They're going to try. They're going to bring in a CBDC and they're going to give it a crack at debasement in a stealth manner. And at that stage, by then, people will be well and truly clued up on the true value then of something like Bitcoin that can't be debased. This is Bitcoin acting live in real time. These are blocks that are getting mined. And so basically we can see how much value is in each block. And throughout this year, Bitcoin just doesn't care about the price. It's not about price for Bitcoin, the network. It's about fulfilling its job. And this is all it does. It just keeps working time after time after time after time. It hasn't missed a beat. Its uptime is basically 100%, near 100%. So, it's an incredible feat. There's no one, this is done all with incentives. This whole thing, it got to a $2 trillion market cap, Bitcoin, in the last couple of years. It's got there with or maybe 1 trillion. Whatever the number, it's a big number. It's got there with nothing, with not a thing, just incentives. It's an incredibly intelligent piece of technology. But the beauty of it in motion, it is something to behold, and I think you'll find that it gives you hope as well. It's a nice shining light, a guiding star for something for our future that is much more positive than the world that we are sort of looking at coming up. Things are getting a little bit dystopian, a bit worrying for all of us, I think. So the future can be bright with Bitcoin. It really can. It's a very optimistic world, a renaissance of some description, a reformation, hopefully, in some regard. So let's see what happens, but it's certainly not something I want to miss. So it's an opportunity that I think is potentially an opportunity of a lifetime. So as I said, check the link below, please. It's got an absolute massive amount of great content. Write any questions that you may have in the comments. I'll come back to you and answer them as best as I can, or guide you to the right piece of content to help you understand some of the technicals a little bit clearer. But happy stacking, get to it. It is a good time to be going. So good luck out there. Thanks for watching, and all the best.